You're watching Talking About Orks. In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over the Nobs and wound allocation. I realized in my first Nob video I left out a very important plot point, and that's with Gazgul or any war boss, a unit of Nobs or Mega Nobs counts as a troops choice. Surprisingly, I've still run into people who don't realize that. So if you have that war boss with the Nobs are suddenly a scoring unit, an incredibly deadly, incredibly resilient scoring unit. So that even gives you more reason why you have to deal with the Nobs. So I thought I'd just clear that up because I think there's still some people out there who didn't realize that. So anyway, we're going to be going over wound allocation and why the Nobs exploit these rules to their max. As you can see in front of you, I've got a simple tactical squad and a unit of 5 Nobs. Wound allocation doesn't begin until you have a unit that contains models of different war gear, specifically different in game terms. So it could be different war gear, it could be different stats. Now, the wound allocation makes a lot of confusion, but really, if you add a new definition, it actually becomes pretty simple, and that is the idea of a group. A group, as defined on page 25 in the rulebook, is a set of models that are identical in game terms. Specifically, let me quote here. All the models in the unit that are identical in game terms. Yeah, okay. That's what I said. So, in this case of the tactical squad, there are 7 bolter marines, the sergeant, a flamer, and a missile launcher. That gives you all 7 of these models. All 7 of the bolters are a group. They are identical in game terms. The sergeant, the flamer, and the missile launcher are all their own group. So that's how they work with just a tactical squad. So let's say the tactical squad comes under fire from a unit of boys that contain rocket launchers, the AP3. So you have 27 pistols, 3 rocket launchers, and let's say this group unit of 10 has taken 13 wounds. Grab some dice here. Let's say 11 of those wounds are slugger shots, so they have an armor save. Say 2 of them, we'll use a different color dice for that, are AP3 rocket shots. So when you're because it is a complex unit, you have to invoke the wound allocation rules. And so what happens is that we assign a wound to a model, and we keep assigning wounds in the model until we've assigned each model in the unit 1 wound. And the thing is, as a defending player, you can assign any wound you want to any model. Okay? It doesn't matter if it ignores armor, it doesn't matter if it's an instant death, it doesn't matter. You can assign any wound to any model. So, let's start assigning wounds. The blue ones are going to be the slugger shots that they get an armor save. So we will assign 1 of those to each model in the unit. So need 1 more. Okay. So now we have 1 more slugger shot and 2 AP3 shots. The AP3 shots will of course ignore the armor. Now I can assign these AP3 shots any way I want. Just checking my time here. We can assign them to any model, and then when we take our saves is when it determines whether or not a model is removed or not. So let's take another bolter shot to, say, this tactical marine. But we're going to take the rocket shots. We're going to put 1 on the missile launcher and then 1 on a tactical marine. Okay, so what that means, when it's time to make our saving throws, we go by groups, not models, and not units. So we'll take the sergeant group first. He lives. Take the flamer group. He lives. Now we go to the missile launcher group. Because he has an AP3 shot with no save, he is just removed. This wound here, this extra bolter wound, is lost. It does not wrap around to another group. That is a very important thing. Now, when we get to this group of models, which contains 7 Marines, 8 wounds, and 1 AP3 wound, what this means is that we take all these saves at once. Okay? This means that 1 Marine is removed automatically, and then all the rest of these saves are rolled together for that group. And I've lost 4 more Marines. So that's how the wound allocation works with just a standard unit. I hope that's clear, because once you understand the concept of groups as opposed to units and models, this really does become pretty simple. Okay, I'm at 6 minutes. So, how does this apply to Nobs? Okay, well, let's put my Marines back. Let's say they stand, the Nobs are charging at them. So I've got a unit of Nobs here. 5 Nobs, each with different war gear. And they come under a hail of fire of bolters and missile launcher. Okay? So the missile launcher hits some wounds, and we have the same 11 wounds from the bolters. That'd be very hard to do, but let's just say it happens. So we got 11 bolter shots and 1 missile launcher shot. Okay, so the missile launcher shot, in addition to ignoring the Nobs 4+ armor save, is also instant death. Okay. Which does make a difference for the toughness 4 2 wound models. So let's just say, for sake of argument, that this model here already has a wound. Now, if all 5 models were the same group, or even if this was grouped with another model, let's add a 6th one here. Let's say these 2 are identical models, so these 2 here are the same group. Okay, this one already has a wound. So then we start assigning wounds here, of course, just like before. So now we have assigned 1 wound to each model. So then we go around again and we assign more wounds to each model. And we still have 1 instant death wound. So we're going to put this on this group here for this example. So then we start taking saves. Because this instant death goes into a group, it will go to the unwounded model, as specifically says on page 26. So instead, okay, so we've assigned all our wounds. Okay. Now, we still have the instant death wound, because we can assign the wound to any model we want. The instant death rules under page 26 do not come into play until the saves are taken. So we can put this on any model we want. So we can put that on the wounded model, because he is his own. There are no unwounded models in that group. I don't have to take out an unwounded model. This does not wrap around to a different group at all. This instant death wound does not wrap around to a different group, because wound saves are taken by group. So what would happen here is that this model will just simply be removed because he's got an unsavable instant death wound. And this is how the Nobs get around page 26 and the instant death rules. So that pretty much wraps up part 2 of the Nobs and wound allocation rules. I hope this is clear enough. Just remember that wound allocation applies to groups, not units and not models. And because of that, the Nobs exploit the rules to their absolute limit. You combine their 2 wounds, their individual war gear, and feel no pain using the complex units rules on page 25 and 26, and you'll understand why they are so incredibly hard to kill. Any questions, please either instant message me or post comments down below. I'll be more than happy to clear up any questions. Thank you for watching.